3 p.m. So did y'all all get one of these? Thank you. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes from the October meeting? Did y'all get a chance to read them?
Yes.
Motion on the floor, can I get a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next is the attached letter from Lynn Finch, the Attorney General. Did y'all get a chance to look at that?
Yes. This was a letter that we asked the Blue Ribbon Committee asked Judge Alfonso for clarification from the Attorney General's office on the Mississippi Code 43-21-303, and a response was given back. Sorry. Oh, sure. The response was given back August 25th. And I apologize, I thought I put it in the September minutes, but apparently or the October minutes, and apparently I did not. So, this is basically, you all read it, correct? And it's just for your information, because we asked Judge Alfonso to do that on behalf of Blue Ribbon Committee.
Is there any discussion about that? Any questions?
No, I think what precipitated then was the meeting with the legislation because of that. Yeah, because of that correspondence, we then met with all the legislators because there needs to be some tweaking or amendments to the that code 43-21-301, also to the code. Mississippi Code 43-21-353 and Mississippi Code 43-21-609. And then, Rebecca Powers is here. She and I and Judge Alfonso, I think it was when was it, September or October? Oh, September. It had to have been, no, it was.
Maybe before.
Well, it was before it was after the October meeting.
Sarah says October 10th.
Yes, thank you. It was after the October meeting, but anyway, we met with them, and so that means that we've met with,
October 30th.
October, yeah. We met with the legislators at the campus in Long Beach for MSU? USM, I'm sorry. And then we met with, at one of the Blue Ribbon Committee meetings, there were two legislators here, Senator Wiggins and
Richard Bennett.
that was at USM. So at the
Estrada.
was here at one of the Blue Ribbon, and then we met with Supervisor Rebecca Powers, myself, and Judge Alfonso met with Kevin Felsher on October 30th. And so I asked Rebecca here to kind of give an update on what has been going on with that.
So basically, we're really getting traction with baby DJ law, and that's really thrilling. The legislators were concerned that doing an Amber Alert type thing might put too much pressure, not only on law enforcement, but for Sean Kendall's office, who's over all of crime lab and public safety for the state. So I met with Sean the very next morning and told him their concerns, and he said, there's absolutely no problem, and it's a great idea, and thanks to us for bringing it to their attention. And Sean said, even if it costs a tiny bit, whatever it is, they will figure it out. So that's a huge victory. We're really thrilled about that.
Now, Rebecca, I know when we met with Kevin Felsher, we were talking about putting it under the endangered child alert.
Yes.
Because, is that still
It would be, he said,
under that?
Commissioner Tyndall said he will figure out the name of it. For elderly, there's a silver alert,
Right.
there's an amber alert, there are different alerts, and we will figure out the appropriate name, but he wasn't concerned at all about any cost or any execution of it. In 5 minutes, he's like, great idea, love it, let's do it, I'll figure it out.
Oh,
So,
excellent.
and then I told the legislators immediately that reply, and they said, okay, well, that's a great green light.
So, from our meeting with, because one of the main concerns that we all had on the blue ribbon was that Mississippi Code 43-21-353, which, involved, let's see. Hang on. I'm sorry, it was a 43-21-301. Let's get that straight, I'm sorry. Which involved the substances, that's the law where they passed, in 2019 maybe, that they couldn't remove a child just due to marijuana. Well, what has happened is that I think it's interpreted in different ways, that they have to have another NXIVM of neglect or abuse. Well, we all get it with marijuana because a lot of people have marijuana cards, now, but not with fentanyl, not with methamphetamine, cocaine, those things. It's, everybody sitting here knows that if you're on meth, that 100% you cannot take care of a child. Whether you actively using it at that time or if you haven't used it and you're coming down off of methamphetamine. So we all know that that's ludicrous to think that they can properly take care of a child that's running around. So we wanted the provision to read the amendment, the code to read just with marijuana. Okay, that this only applies to marijuana, not the other controlled substances. Okay, there's no such thing as recreational meth or fentanyl or cocaine. Okay, so I think the legislators that we met with, even Kevin Felcher, agreed that was, yes, that made sense. Okay, so in that also, in that state statute, a child shall not be considered neglected solely because the child's parent, guardian, or custodian has failed to provide the child with food, clothing, or shelter necessary to sustain the life or health of the child, when the failure is caused primarily by financial inability, unless relief services have been offered and refused and the child is in imminent risk or harm. Okay, so basic needs are food, water, and shelter. Okay, for each of us and a child. So a child reading this cannot be considered neglected solely because the parents or the caretaker cannot provide the basic needs. So,
And the legislators agreed with that as well.
yeah, right. So
they're taking these
legislators,
amendments, yeah.
right. I mean, we all know sitting here that doesn't make sense. So I think what has happened, they meant well in that, that state code. They all meant well, but how it's being interpreted is safety, for the children. Just for example, we have through Harrison County a program called Friends of Court, which is we take chancery court cases in custody, neglect, guardianship, and conservatorship, and vulnerable adult. So we had a case this week where a grandmother who has custody of 4 children, where Child Protection Services dropped the children off, and one was just like 3 days old because the parent gave birth in the hospital, okay, or in prison. So she's homeless basically. She's staying from her brother's house to her daughter's house. She doesn't have a job, she doesn't have stable living quarters, she doesn't have stable income. But talking with CPS, they can't take the kids into custody because just because she's homeless doesn't mean that she can't take care of the kids, just because she doesn't have financial resources. So this definitely, I mean, we work in this every single day and it's ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. So I have high hopes and we feel very encouraged that the legislators are going to be doing something, because it's not going to cost anything to them. It's just amending it slightly for the safety of the children. So that's so hopefully that will go through. Do you know what's their next step in this, Rebecca?
I don't. I'll check on what the timeline might be. I know they're going back to convene in January, so it might probably be in January.
Okay. So do they need anything else from the Blue Ribbon Committee?
I don't think so.
They don't need us to, okay,
I
good.
saw Senator Delano last night, actually, in the airport coming back, and he was coming back from DC. I was coming back from Phoenix, and he actually spoke about it, and he said that they've got the support. Aiden's Law and Baby DJ is looking very good.
Okay, good. Well, how about the Mississippi Code, though?
Yeah, the amendments have been sent. I believe it has to run through the AG, since she's the top attorney of the state, obviously. But there's nothing in legal code that Judge Alfonso would have written that she would send back, so I feel pretty confident.
Okay. If we could get these things accomplished, the Blue Ribbon Committee,
It's major.
this would be huge. This would be huge, and our children would once again have the protection of the state code. And I'm not saying that the courts are doing anything wrong. It's just that their interpretation is maybe not as strict, let's say, as it should be, or each county or family court is interpreting it in different ways, and everybody has to be consistent. We have these laws and they have to be consistent, and they have to be uniform. So there has to be no room for interpretation on any of these things. And I think there's been instances with Memorial where they have had to send babies back that have been tested positive for, the harder drugs. So we all know that's unacceptable. Also, we're trying to get if you look at Code 43-21609, this states about the, if a hospital reports a child to CPS, that hospital or any mandated reporter, such as, myself, or basically anybody, probably on this committee, can get information on where that report is with CPS. Has it been investigated? We just want to know, has it been investigated? And you guys have a difficult time too getting.
Well, a lot of times, like when we go, even if we go out to a house, we'll call dispatch, they'll call a number now. We have to sit and wait for a long time until we hear back from somebody else. And we've always said, could there be a different number for law enforcement to call instead of having to wait such a long time? But just in my personal dealings, I've been to a house and I guess the social worker comes out. I got to the point where I started taking pictures. Because by the time she gets there, she's like, hey, it's not like this. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, that's not the way it was when I got here. And that was the biggest frustration for me.
Right. The accuracy.
So if law enforcement could have a hotline straight to them where you can get in touch with them, yeah.
Makes sense. But mandated reporters, and that's what this code it involves, that if a person makes a report a credible person, that's mandated
Physician,
to,
teacher.
yeah, that's mandated to report, because I get calls all the time at the advocacy center, you know, I made this, but from counselors, school officials, I've made this report, I have no idea, is there any way I can get information? I said, as it is right now, no. They should be able to get the information, hey, you know, is it being investigated? Where is it at in the queue of investigation? Has it been given to an investigator? Have they gone out? We don't care what information, we just want to know that our report to CPS, the hotline, has been taken seriously and people have investigated. Because
I'm sorry
I
to jump in, Jean.
That's okay.
I want to ask Captain, in your experience, do you find that in situations, a lot of law enforcement have told us they're not even invited to testify? And would there be a mechanism for a school counselor or a teacher or a preacher or law enforcement that you could say, I would like to testify?
It's a
You've
lot
been
of
shut
times.
out,
I would like to, but we never get asked.
correct?
Even when I worked in Gulfport, I went to a house where it was just deplorable, and they told me, hey, we handle it, but we never heard anything further from it. So I don't know what the outcome.
So what you're saying is that you call the CPS, and you guys would love to testify, but you don't hear.
I would, because a lot of times, people don't see what we see. I know when I used to work the streets, I would actually walk through the house, and sometimes it would be so horrible that I'm like, yeah, how do you live here? I've actually had to stop a kid from eating some molded food that was left in a bowl. But once CPS got there, I never found out the outcome of what took place after we left.
So now, Christian, when you get back to the department, do you have to fill out a report?
What I used to do was I would do like a narrative, saying, hey, this is what I saw, along with having the body camera footage. That's what I like, because with that body camera footage, they can't dispute what I saw with my eyes, and here it is on video. But I would just always do a brief narrative saying what I saw and what worker came out, and I would just put that in a narrative.
So has the workers, do they ever ask law enforcement for the body cam footage?
No.
From my experience, it's less paperwork if they don't have to get that. But I've turned in someone before and had plenty of pictures, and they never asked for the pictures. So I called and said, hey, I've got these pictures. And I called about 6 times before finally they said somebody will call me back. So someone did call me back and said, that's okay, we'll get it from here. I have all these pictures, and I happen to be in contact with the biological mother. And she said, do you know someone called on me again, blah, blah, blah. And she said, but I just have to take a drug test and I'm fine. And I said, well, what did they say to the child? And she said, oh, she wasn't here, she was at a friend's house. So they didn't even interview this child. That I have pictures of the abuse, they didn't interview her at all. They just talked to the mom and did a drug test. That's a joke, but anyway. Yeah, so it's almost, they were really getting angry because I was persistent and they weren't happy. And I think maybe it's their paperwork, maybe they got a lot to do, I don't know.
You know, and here again, I want to state to everybody here, we're not here to, we're here to help in any way that we can with youth court, with CPS, anything that we can do for the health and safety of these children. We're not here to point fingers at anyone, but I think that maybe systems need to be changed a little bit to help protect these children, whether, you know, work more closely, or what does law enforcement need? You know, what do you need? If you can provide us with this, that would be great. We could, you know, for documentation, testify. I mean, I think that would be a no-brainer to come and testify. I mean, I think that would be,
I've never been asked to
I
come.
think that would be a no-brainer, just to verify what they're doing, you know, not to, you know, just,
Well,
here,
it's witnesses.
this
In
is-
any
this
other
is the
job or
evidence.
any other age, you would
Yeah.
of course have a witness, even in a car
Right.
accident for a broken windshield. People stand here, we decide if we replace their windshield or not.
Mhm.
But in these cases for children without their constitutional rights,
Right.
we
It's
don't even
evidence.
want the witnesses, the professional experts.
Mhm.
That's
Exactly.
unacceptable.
It's unacceptable.
Yeah, and what it reminds me of, for example, hi, I'm Ashley McKnight. I'm a local attorney and I work as a guardian ad litem as well. For example, whenever I have cases in Chancery Court, the chancellor will not conclude a case if there are youth court records or some kind of CPS investigation. The chancellor will stop everything until they do an order to get those records so they can see them to know what's happened in the past, whether or not there are any orders to know what to do going forward. So to me, and seeing what, in listening to what he's talking about, if the police officers are gonna be a first responder to that home, then it should be automatic, whether it's Chancery, Youth Court, whoever it may be, if there are children involved and there are abusive allegations of abuse and neglect, I feel like it should be an automatic thing to get the body cam or to get the narrative. You know, I know sometimes officers can't always come to court, but at least get something if they're gonna be a first responder.
At least the narrative, yeah.
Yes.
Because a lot of times they are the first person on the scene
I
to
know,
respond.
like, for the county, a lot of times, we are the first people to get there.
Mhm.
And then we go in and we do an observation and we determine whether or not we're gonna continue the investigation and get CPS involved.
That's good to know, I never realized that. So, okay, so what you're stating is that you want a direct number to CPS,
It would be nice.
okay? And then, it would be great to get the narrative or
Evidence.
evidence, like the body cam footage or whatever.
Common
And would that be easy to get? CPS, they would be able to get that, correct?
I'm
Very
pretty sure
easily?
I'm pretty
Is
sure
there-
they could.
Yeah. Because they're the state agency for protection of children. They should be easy. I didn't realize that, but yeah, absolutely. And you're right too, Miss Ashley.
Yes, amen.
Any other discussion on those things? Okay, so, another thing that we, have been talking and asked Judge Alfonso help with is, working in Chancery Court in the cases that Friends of Court does, is that we discovered that the chancellors do not have access to my kids, okay? So what Ashley just said earlier is that if there is an indication that they have prior history, CPS history, they have to stop the case, they have to get the records from youth court, okay? So that it's the call of the youth court judge if for them to send them.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's nobody else's call, it's their call. So sometimes they get them, sometimes they don't, okay? Sometimes it's a speedy process, sometimes it takes weeks or months to get the records, okay? Well, kids don't have weeks or months for permanency. We
And
need
they
to,
could be in danger.
yeah, they could be, exactly, they could be in
Right,
danger.
In the Chancery Court, they won't do anything, because I had that, last month, I believe it was, and we were there because, we had certain allegations, and the chancellor wouldn't do a thing until they got the records.
Right, because they have to proceed, by law also, so
Right,
there's a
yes,
lot of layers here.
Yes, ma'am.
So it would be great, so in that instance, they have to stop the case, and because they don't know what's going on or what the allegations, and they could even have current allegations, involved, and they don't know. So it would be great if they could just read-only access to get on, have their staff attorneys get on my kids to say, okay, which is a state system for documentation for CPS, to get online to see on my kids what is the status of that case? Is it still in youth court? Has it been investigated? Has it been substantiated, unsubstantiated? Where is it at this point? Well, instantaneously, they can do it instantaneously instead of waiting weeks or months. and belaboring the justice system,
Yeah.
you know, in
And
Chancery Court.
endangering the child.
Yeah, endangering, and possibility of endangering the child. So that is making progress. I think that is almost, a yes on that from, talking to several people. So let's hope that it can, pass in January, I guess.
And that'll be another major accomplishment.
That's
for
gonna
Blue
be-
Ribbon.
yes,
So it's
exactly, that's gonna
truly
be
amazing,
huge.
less than a year what y'all accomplished.
Yeah, that's gonna be huge. So these are the things that we've been working on for the past year, because, people have presented the challenges, let's say. And so, I feel, we should feel quite proud that we've gotten this far on those, you know, on those specific things, so. And thank you, Rebecca Powers, for advocating for the Blue Ribbon Committee with the Board of Supervisors, and if it weren't for you, we would not all be sitting up here, so thank you. She's been a champion and advocate for children for 20-plus years in Harrison County, so thank you.
One other thing that I might like to discuss, just something that I'd like to see changed. When a child is picked up for, put into custody, and they move to another state, that record doesn't follow them. And so you can have a child that's been picked up 11 times, you get this child thinking it's the first time she's been picked up. This happened personally to me. And she's been picked up, but she had been picked up, and every time the parents get them back, they go to the next state, and it doesn't follow them. So if we have a criminal that does that, we can follow them. You need to do a background check, and but with children you can't. So once they move, their record's clean, and you start over again. And until they catch or get the abuse or neglect or whatever the case may be, they get the children back, they do what they have to do, and then they go to the next state.
So there almost has to be a national CPS
Right.
Yes.
record keeping for, and I think that's what the sheriff or the law enforcement have, don't they have can't you guys see if you pick up this, John Smith, that he has a record in, or he's been picked up in different states, can you guys see that?
We do a criminal background check, and it will show a criminal history from where they've been convicted. Some are one page, I've seen some that have been 20 pages. It's just a list of stuff they've been involved in and convicted of. A lot of times we depend on other agencies. If I know somebody somewhere else, I call them on the phone, like, hey, have y'all had any deals with this person? I know our interdiction guys do that a lot. They get phone calls from other guys in different states saying, hey, y'all might want to stop this vehicle because it's
Right.
full of drugs. So we stopped it before and it had money in it. So we try to communicate within, with other law enforcement agencies to help.
But at least you have the criminal background check that's nationwide.
But it's
Or
only
see-
in adults. What if we what if we asked Congress to do it per child, just like you check a criminal, right? If you do by the child and their social security number, would that be the way?
Or the
back then?
parents.
Or would it be just the parents? But some have different babies and fathers and.
Well, normally it's just mainly, what we do is just mainly adults.
But I think what Rebecca is doing, that's a great way for, like criminal background check, you can put in the social security number or the birth date or whatever of that person. But how would we do that with Max? Question is that when these parents move from state to state, county by county, which I know that I can guarantee they do that, I know that for a fact. How do you keep a record of those children? How does the courts know that this child was not deemed substantiated neglect and abuse in Florida?
Other states.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't have any way of knowing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's no system
So
in
there
place
needs
at
to-
all like that.
There has to be there should be
There
a
you go,
national
Mag, let's do that.
national system of some sort for
Yeah.
these children. Because we all know that the
Sarah's writing
parents,
it down.
yeah, I'm going to, there has to be, like a criminal background check, federal criminal background check, there has to be something nationally for these children that one state agency for CPS or whatever they're called in different states
Yeah.
can get the whole history of this child, not just the whole entire history of this child
They're just getting what's reported in that state.
in that state or county,
Yeah,
or that county.
And like Max said, you might think it's their first or second time, and it might be the 17th time in 4 different states, that's.
Or they could, that child could be not with that family, it could be reported missing or,
Different parents.
whatever. 'Cause
Yeah.
You know how many kids are missing and they've never found or they're never
Yes.
reported? Good idea, Mag.
Yes.
I'll put that down. A law
That's a
enforcement
game
to testify and direct number. Hospitals almost need a direct number.
I think we've already solved that.
Yeah,
right?
we have solved that.
Didn't we solve that for the hospital and the direct number?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, anything else from the audience, from this committee on any of what we've discussed so far?
Yes, it's our communication with this way better. We have a weekly meeting with them. And we need to work on APS,
APS, you wanna say that?
Can we get an update on Memorial?
adult protection.
Oh, adult protection.
Do we want to get an update from the Memorial Hospital?
Oh, you want the numbers?
Yeah, here's some sheets.
Let's see. We had for October 21 cases. Let me go over this. Which is up.
Okay, so in, we're in, okay, October.
Yes. So, no, September we had 18. October we have 21 reported.
Usually near the holidays, didn't your numbers go
Yeah.
up?
Yeah, December we usually go up. For whatever reason, they go down a little bit in November, but then they go back up in November. I mean, December, excuse me.
And I apologize, what are these numbers for?
This is the number of cases we report to CPS by month,
Not just necessarily being born in drugs, but.
just any case.
In danger.
Yeah, just any case.
These are all children, correct? So, in 25 for October, they had 21. Last year at this time, they had 10, but in 2023, they had 30. So what she's done, if you want that, you can have it, she's color-coded it by year since 2020. Because the Blue Ribbon Committee asked Memorial to do that. So I think she does that manually, don't you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she does this manually for us every month, so
Appreciate
thank
that.
you. Thank you.
But I have it
Thank you,
set up
Cindy.
that it's just, I can just pop in the numbers.
Okay.
Got it formulated, so I don't have to do too much.
That's good. So, thank you for that, but I want to ask you, are they including Memorial now in the safety plan?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so how is that going? Yeah, I'm glad that that's another thing we got accomplished was the safety plan to have between CPS and Memorial. They never used to do that, and because of the Blue Ribbon Committee, we thought that was a brilliant idea to include the hospital for their concerns to do the safety plan. So tell us, Cindy, how that's going.
It's going very well. We normally get a safety plan before if we have a baby that we're concerned about. Maybe a month or two ago, we had one that we didn't have the safety plan before the baby was gonna leave, and I just made a phone call and said, we need to have the safety plan before this baby goes
Good.
home, because there were a lot of concerns about the child. And they got it to us before the baby's gonna be discharged. And it didn't hold up the discharge, but I was gonna hold it up if we didn't have it, because, and I don't like to hold up discharges, because that's just
Memorial has suspended.
Yeah, so I like to go ahead and let them get the discharge, but we didn't have to hold up the discharge. And we have a weekly meeting with CPS every Tuesday afternoon, and we discuss cases that are, and it's usually NICU,
Right.
neonatal intensive care babies, because they're there the longest, and so we use that meeting to kind of be proactive, where we didn't have that before, and on a Friday afternoon, oh, they're gonna discharge over the weekend, well, that's a problem, because, you know, we don't have things organized. So now we have that meeting to kind of go over what's going on with the baby, are we looking at discharge, what are we looking at discharge, and, we don't get caught unaware anymore, and get come Friday afternoon, and the baby's gonna discharge over the weekend, and we don't have things in place, so it's worked out very well.
I am so glad
Yeah.
that we were able to facilitate all of
Yeah,
that.
it's made a huge
Get the
difference.
communication.
That, you know, because that's how it should be. There should be community partners, you know, well, especially with the hospital, since you had the responsibility of the care of that child, to voice your concerns, safety concerns, or, you know, to CPS they may not be aware of. And it's great when you can collaborate and be on the same page, and for, you know, for the child's sake, you know, so that's a really a win-win.
It really has.
I mean, it really is. That's great. That's absolutely great. Go ahead.
Any new reports, concerns? So we're open for questions.
Any
Yeah.
audience questions at all?
I do have a question, I guess, to understand the extent for the baby D alert system. So I had a case, it was a couple years ago, where the mother had custody of the child, and mom and dad, they lived about 5-6 hours apart. She lived here in Gulfport, I believe he lived somewhere up north in Mississippi, but she went and they met in the middle for the exchange of the child. She went to go give the child to him for his visitation, and then she never saw the child again. And that child was missing for about 2 years or so. And she didn't have the money to hire an attorney. For some reason, she couldn't get legal services to help her, but she finally got to me, and I worked with her, but I was representing her, and we still couldn't find the child. They wouldn't let us do an Amber Alert because there was no violence in taking the child. I even got to I think it was the FBI. I got to them, and they said that they couldn't help me either. So in that type of situation, and what she had said, because she called CPS, and we couldn't get any CPS records, CPS wouldn't give out any information, because she was able to every now and then do some FaceTime with the children. They never had clothes on, their diapers were dirty, the home itself was absolutely filthy. And so I guess my question is, with this Baby D alert, would that cover a situation like that in trying to locate a child?
No, probably not, because that child was in a location up in, you know, Mississippi. I'm surprised that she didn't call a CPS report in wherever the child was at.
She did.
Oh, she did, and they never took it.
That was the problem. Nothing happened.
And she had court documentation that she had custody?
And in
That's
order
good.
for us to, you know, and I was able to take her to court. I had her testify. We got an order giving her custody because of the contempt and the alienation and all of that, keeping the children. But then in that particular area, we couldn't get law enforcement to enforce, because we were finally able to at least locate the general area where he was, because she knew that's where he lived. We just didn't have an address. And law enforcement would not help us at all. They said, well, you need a different type of order. I went and got that different type of order, and then we needed something else, and then I got the something else, and it was just always something. So I was just kind of wanting to know the extent of this alert.
That seems almost, I know the case that you're talking about.
Okay,
I
yes,
do.
yes.
Yeah, I do. That seems almost impossible, but I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe that that's true. I know it's true, matter of fact, I know it's true. Because that child the location was known where that child was. When on Baby DJ, the location was not known. Well, what happened was, the CPS was alerted that they needed to pick this baby up because of the cord blood testing positive for fentanyl. So the law enforcement or CPS went to the address that supposedly the mother was at, and no one answered. So what if we had the Baby DJ law in effect? We could have put on social media, hey, we're looking for this baby. The parents are, this and this. Last known address was here. Please be on the alert. CPS is looking for the baby. They were there all that time because a day later, the mama's brother, posted online, which I think Rebecca found, that he posted pictures of their filthy, horrible apartment and a refrigerator, and he opened up the refrigerator and there was vials of fentanyl in there.
You had the video on there.
Yeah, there was a video on it. So we knew that, I think he even made the comment, well, something about CPS couldn't find my sister. Well, I'm here and they were here, or something. I can't remember the exact, but something to that effect. So what we're seeing on that, because what happened is then the untimely death of that baby. I think it was 4 months old,
Yeah.
6 months old.
But if there's imminent danger,
Yeah.
and if court says there's imminent danger, could the alert be used for maybe older than DJ was?
Well, because CPS was involved and they visited, right? There was no
Oh, CPS was involved in that.
there was no substantiation. But in this Baby DJ, because the baby could not be found, what could happen is that all alerts, social media mainly, could come, and, these parents can't stay hidden forever. Yeah, and there were probably multiple people knew where they were, or they were housing them, or, whatever. And everybody's on social media, as we all know, because we see their crazy stuff on social media. So, but yeah, that was tragic. It's unfortunate. Anything else?
Gonna get in here early today.
Yeah, we are.
One last thing, I just realized these cards, it wasn't the organization that just mailed me too many, it's Citizens.
Yeah.
I just realized that. So what we would do is make these cards, give them out to citizens to mail to the legislators and the people who make the decisions. Like
So
this
they
one
gave
comes
them
from
to, so what
yeah.
organization is this?
Oh,
I'm like, this Forever 25, I guess, maybe the family of the sweet boy that was killed, but like, this one's from Sandra Abear in my district. This one's from Mrs. Bouchard in my district. So it's really smart, you're getting citizens. to
That
say
is, I like it, I like this.
I just thought they sent me too many, but this is,
DJ.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I like it, thank you for supplying that.
It was Sarah's idea. She handed them to me and said, y'all should do that for DJ. I'm like,
That's-
oh.
Thank you, Sarah. Very good.
kind of like a petition, only better.
Exactly, very good. And when you see that sweet face, it's got an impact.
Yeah. put a face
Well, I
to it.
like that. In memory of the player who played with heart and lived with purpose.
Oh,
Forever 25, the Aiden Stockstill locker room. I love that. Very good.
all right. Is it nothing else? The next meeting is January 16th. We will not have a December meeting. And we will adjourn the meeting at 1:47.
Thank you, everyone.
Do I have a motion to join the meeting?